Hello everyone, this is the Familiar DAVENER number 36, and I'd like to speak today about being a mentch during davening. And here's the situation. Someone comes into davening and says hello to you and you're in the middle of davening. There are halachot dedicated to this particular topic. For example, from the time you start the blessings before Shema and after the Shema, there are specific halachot, what you're allowed to stop for and for who. If it's an adam nechbad, someone that's a very respectful person, a big talmid chacham, a big philanthropist, or someone sheyareh mimeno, someone that you have to show awe to, which is a rebbe, parents, etc. There are specific people you're allowed to stop. And you're allowed to stop your Shema, or stop your brachot before Shema and after Shema, and say hello to them. Sometimes initiate, sometimes just respond. The halachot are a bit complicated, but suffice it to say it's out there. In addition, Kaddish, Kedusha, Baruch Hu, the Amen of Hakel HaKadosh and Shomei Tfilah, are also things you're allowed to stop for in specific situations. So they asked the Rambam the following question. Since we're allowed to stop for people, isn't it more so that we're allowed to stop if we hear a bracha? Namely, you're in the middle of Shema. Say you're in the middle of the first bracha. You didn't finish it yet. And someone came into shul and made a bracha on his tefillin. He came in late. Are you allowed to say Amen? The Rambam's answer is fascinating. He says, absolutely not. And I'll quote his words because I'm pretty sure you don't believe me. I mean, after all, if Ben HaPrakim, you're in between chapters, namely you're in between bracha number 1 and bracha number 2, you're allowed to actually initiate a hello to someone nichbad, like a big philanthropist, then how come you can't say Amen to someone saying a bracha on tefillin? It seems much holier to say Amen on the tefillin. Says the Rambam, Ein lezeh panim, there is absolutely no logic to stop. Why? Very simple, you're in the middle of a mitzvah, you don't have to do another mitzvah. V'lama yafsik mashu osek bo lekayem mitzvato v'yikabel al atzmo mitzvah acheret. You're in the middle of one thing, one mitzvah, namely you're saying the brachot before Shema, the Shema itself. You don't have to stop for another mitzvah. What's fascinating about this is that the Rambam basically says that it's much more important to say hello to someone, not everyone, but many of the people that are in the categories of Adam Nechbad, than to go ahead and say Amen to a bracha. What in essence the Rambam is saying is a beautiful Rashi right at the beginning of last week's Parsha Vayera. Everybody knows Avram sitting there at his tent, and God is with him, and ultimately he sees 3 guests. He says, God, gotta leave now, I see 3 guests. It seems very clear that ultimately, Gdola hachnasat orchim mikabalat pnei hashchina, that inviting in guests are far more important than actually standing before God, before His holy presence. And I believe this message is so important today. Yes, we go to shul to daven. We go to shul to learn Torah. Those are the 2 primary reasons we go. But it does not exempt you from being a mentch. If you're not a mentch, then A, you can't be counted for a minyan if you're not a human being. And B, if you don't act like a mentch, it seems like your whole davening goes down the drain too. So I think this little tiny tshuva of the Rambam, which is short and sweet and to the point, teaches us something very important. It's important to daven. And it's important to learn when you're allowed to stop davening, to say hello to people, or maybe not say hello, but just not initiate a hello, but actually go ahead and respond. There are halachot for it, and we have to learn them. But don't think for a moment that anything holy goes. No. God says, I am willing to let it slide. Don't worry about me. But 3 guests are out there. A guest just came into shul. Don't ignore them.